Hey guys, welcome back for more Elegies. So come on, as usual, we're gonna continue the story. I can't help letting out a huge yawn as I carefully descend the stairs for breakfast the next morning. Yesterday was already tiring enough by itself, not to mention how late Aya and I stayed up before we found the newspaper article. Aya too looks a bit more subdued than normal as she hovers by the TV, which is quietly playing the morning news.
Morning, kid.
Aunt Claire greets me from the couch, a slice of toast halfway to her mouth.
You look like you could use some coffee.
That would be great. Thanks, Aunt Claire.
No problem. Coming right up.
She disappears into the kitchen and I sink into a comfortable seat on the couch.
Hey!
Aya smiles and floats over towards me. I reach for the remote and turn up the TV so she can still hear it.
Anything interesting on the news this morning?
I whisper so that Aunt Claire can't hear me from the kitchen.
Yeah! There was this really cute story about these people who lost their cat right before they moved. They were really sad, thinking they'd never see the cat again. But then they found her at her new house. Cats are so smart.
That's adorable.
So?
She fidgets nervously before finishing her sentence.
Are we going to my old house today?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, we'll check out. We're gonna get some mysteries today.
I just
Nice.
need to make up a story to tell Aunt Claire. Somehow, I don't feel like my ghost friend and I need to look for clues about how she died is going to cut it.
That might be the first time I've directly said those words to Aya. That she died. Even though we talked about it a little bit last night, it still feels like a strange thing to acknowledge. She died. She must have. But she's right here and we're happily making plans for the day. She even laughs at my flippant approach to the subject.
Yeah, if you tell her that, she might just send you right back to the hospital.
Hey, that sounds like it wouldn't even be a problem. We could visit all our favorite hangout spots again.
But we couldn't look for clues or solve the mystery.
You've got a point. Cover story it is.
We turn our attention back to the TV where a fashionably dressed woman is describing the weather until Aunt Claire emerges from the kitchen.
Breakfast is ready.
She places a steaming mug of coffee in the plate with 2 slices of toast down on the table and then sits down beside me. Aya moves to get out of her way.
Thanks.
I take a sip of the coffee and savor its warmth.
Were you talking to someone just now?
Whoops. I guess at some point I forgot to keep whispering. But then again, that gives me a good opportunity to get started with this cover story idea.
Yeah. I just got a call from my friend
Ivan, smooth Zach. I can hear Aya giggling softly as I try not to acknowledge her.
Ivan?
Yeah. Ivan. We used to be on the soccer team together.
Flawless recovery.
He was asking if I want to hang out today.
Oh, that's great. Need me to give you a ride somewhere?
Nah, I can take the bus. I still have a valid student card, so it's free.
All right, if you're sure. Make sure you charge your phone before you leave. You can always call me if you need me to come pick you up later on. I don't want you to push yourself too much if your leg starts hurting or anything.
Okay.
So, what are you guys going to do?
You know, play video games?
Oh, of course!
Aunt Claire throws her hands out in an exaggerated expression of the obviousness of my answer.
What else is there? I'm just glad you're at least leaving the house for it this time.
I nod and take a huge bite of toast, hoping that my mouth being full will discourage my aunt from asking me any more questions about my buddy Ivan. Fortunately, she gets distracted by the news and the rest of our breakfast passes without incident. Well, except for Aya making fun of me when she knows I can't defend myself.
Wow! I can't wait to meet this Ivan. You said he plays soccer? And video games too? Oh, he sounds like a cool guy.
I just can't get any respect around here. Okay, we're gonna get answers now. Hopefully we get answers, hopefully. In Aya's old house that burnt down as well. Following the directions on my phone, Aya and I take a short walk from Aunt Claire's house to the bus stop and board a bus that arrives soon after. It's a bit crowded, but a young woman with spiky hair notices my cane and stands up to give me her seat, which is nice. Aya hovers nearby, trying to fit herself into a spot where no one is standing. Not that she can't just go through people if she needs to, but I've noticed that she prefers not to. I'm not surprised. It must feel a little weird. I used to take a bus just like this one to school in the mornings. It's strange to be back after so much has changed.
Ooh, check out the cool patches on this guy's jacket.
I nod and smile at Aya's occasional observations, but avoid responding out loud. I could always use the old talking on my phone trick to have a conversation with her, but I don't want to be that guy talking loudly on the bus unless it's an emergency. Everyone hates that guy. The bus rolls and I keep an eye on the directions to make sure we don't miss our stop. I notice the businesses on the main street transitioning from fashionable shops and upscale cafes into small convenience stores and run-down fast food chains. Finally, we turn the corner into a more residential area and the map on my phone lets me know we're getting close. I press the button to request the next stop and I exit the bus in front of a cramped townhouse complex. As another bus rider around my age slips past us and into one of the townhouses, I take a moment to get my bearings and figure out which way we need to walk next.
Well, any of this look familiar?
I don't know. Maybe a little bit?
I guess we're turning left over there, and then it's not much further. Let me know if you recognize anything.
Yeah.
Aya is silent as we make our way down the cracked sidewalk toward the place she used to live. She frowns pensively at the view and I decide not to ask her any more questions for now. But I wonder whether this place is starting to bring back any memories or not. Is she sad because of something from the past? Or because she doesn't remember the past at all? The street gets progressively narrower, winding into various crescents and cul-de-sacs, and for a moment, I get a little worried about losing our way. But then I see it. It's impossible to miss. The ruins of the burned house lie between two other dwellings that are so dilapidated they look to be at risk of crumbling into similar heaps. I'm not sure exactly what I expected, but it wasn't this. We stop in front of it, both of our shocked gazes fixed on the wreckage.
They never rebuilt the house? It's been like 5 years.
Besides me, Aya shrugs.
From what I remember, I'm not surprised. It's not a good neighborhood. My dad had a lot of trouble finding a job when he first moved here, and we couldn't afford much. Probably no one thought it would be worth it to rebuild.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're starting to remember more, though. That's good, right?
I guess so. It's still vague. I can tell you general information like that. Like it just pops into my head. But if I try to think of anything specific, it's like trying to see through a thick fog.
I try to imagine how Aya must feel. It's hard enough for me to have lost my parents, but at least I have my memories of good times when they were alive. Poor Aya must have only have only the sense of loss without any of the comfort.
Well, let's see if there's anyone around here who might be able to fill in those specifics for us then. Maybe you'll remember more if you see someone you recognize from the past, or if you hear from someone who knew you or your parents.
Yeah, maybe.
Detective Zack is on the case.
I pose as if I'm tipping a cool hat, like a detective in an old movie, and Aya giggles.
Let's see what your next door neighbors have to say.
Moving as quickly as I can with my cane, I climb the steps onto the porch of a slightly rundown house and ring the bell. Through the screen door, I watch a large man in a stained t-shirt respond to its discordant summons. What do you want?
Hi. My name is...
I'm about to introduce myself when it occurs to me that I should have put a lot more thought into this introduction. I'm going to need some kind of reason why I'm asking questions about Aya. Somehow, I don't think this guy will react to the ghost stuff any better than Aunt Claire would. And I feel like going around giving out my real name to random strangers in the bad part of town might not be the smartest idea either. First things first, I'm going to need an alias. Cool sound or normal sounding
John
name.
Smith.
Oh my god, this dude John Smith? Uh-huh. I might have gone a little bit past normal sounding and hit so generic, it's fake sounding. Oh well.
And I'm looking for my cousin.
Who's your cousin?
Her name's Aya. Aya Faraj. I heard she lived next door at number 33, but...
I gestured to the ruins of her old house.
I guess not anymore.
The man has been staring at me with complete disinterest since he answered the door, but now his face seems to be hardening into something more like contempt. Maybe he's just annoyed that I'm wasting his time. Still, I try not to let it get to me.
Do you have any idea where her family might have moved to? I really want to get back in touch with her if I can.
Nope. Never knew them.
Really? Never? You didn't just have a little chat with your neighbors once in a while? If you knew anything about them, even the tiniest detail, maybe it would help.
Nope. Can't help you. The screen door slams shut in my face, and the man disappears down the hall.
Well, that's, 1 point for the neighbors and 0 points for Detective Zack.
You mean Detective John?
Aya chuckles at my choice of pseudonym as we make our way back to the sidewalk. Like, if I choose another name, would it have another answer?
You know, I don't remember having a cousin by that name. But then again, I don't remember much, so maybe you're telling the truth?
Haha, very funny. It was the most plausible cover story I could come up with. I'm thinking you and I are long-lost cousins. We haven't seen each other for years because of some family drama, and I'm trying to get back in touch. But I only have your old address, and I have no idea what happened to you and your parents. That's why I have to ask around and see if anyone can fill me in. Maybe it'll lead us to something that will help you remember more.
Okay. I guess it's not that bad an idea. Should we try the neighbors on the other side?
Let's go!
I step onto a dirt-smudged welcome mat and ring another doorbell. An elderly woman answers, taking her time to arrive at the door with slow and shuffling steps. I feel a little bad for bothering her because of that. Yes? Can I help you?
Hi. Sorry to bother you. My name's John.
Why don't you change your name, dude?
My cousin Aya used to live next door, in that house that looked like it burnt down. Do you know anything about what happened there? Or where her family might have moved to or anything?
Oh yes, the fire. That was so very sad. The woman nods and stares into the distance above my head for a moment as if she's looking into the past. But I never knew the family who lived there, no.
No? You never even talked to them a little bit? I'd really like to find my cousin if I can, so any details you remember might help.
She shakes her head. No, I'm sorry, dear. But I keep to myself most of the time. I'm sure I never met your cousin. Aya, was it?
Aya. Yes.
I do hope you find her. But I'm afraid there's nothing I can do to help. I sigh in disappointment. At least she was a lot nicer about it than the guy on the other side.
Alright. Well, thanks for your time.
You take care of yourself now.
You too.
She closes the door and I make my dejected way back to the sidewalk.
Well, that's 0 for 2. Apparently your family wasn't all that sociable.
Hey! How much time do you spend chatting in with your neighbors?
Huh, good point.
I guess with the internet and all, most people don't bother to get to know their neighbors too well anymore.
Well, should we try another one anyway? Maybe the house across the street from yours?
Sure.
Okay. Third time? I look both ways and for a minivan with chipped silver paint to pass before I cross another house. This time when I ring the doorbell, a baby immediately starts crying inside the house. I feel terrible about disturbing these people again. I could never make it as a door-to-door salesman. The cries gradually cease and a haggard-looking young woman answers the door, baby in her arms. Yeah? If you're selling anything, I don't want it.
Not selling anything. I'm just looking for my cousin.
Your cousin doesn't live here.
Yeah, I know. She lives across the street. I mean, she used to. Not anymore, I guess. Obviously, since the house burned down.
Uh-huh.
I was wondering if you knew anything about what happened to her. Like where her family moved to or anything? Her name's Aya. Aya Faraj.
No one in that family is moving anymore. They all died. Didn't you hear? What a terribly callous way to inform an innocent young boy about the tragic deaths of his relatives. Good thing I already knew about it, and I'm not actually related to them.
Really? You're sure? Well, do you know if there's a grave or anything I can visit?
I'm kind of reaching here for stuff to ask, but I feel like absolutely any detail I can uncover just might turn out to be what Aya needs to start remembering more, and that would make it all worth it.
Aya and I were really close when we were kids.
I don't know. I didn't know them. Aya? Are you talking about Aya? From behind the woman, a girl in sweatpants and an old t-shirt that's way too big for her peers out at us. What? I'd guess she's about 13. She has dyed blue streak in her hair, which is exactly the kind of thing of my friends and I thought was cool when we were that age. That woman, her mother I assume, seems none too pleased to see her. You're supposed to be doing your math homework, honey.
Yes, Aya!
I jump in wanting to get whatever information I can before the girl is banished back to the shackles of 8th grade math.
She was my cousin. Did you know her?
We didn't really. Yeah, I did. I used to babysit me after school. She used to help me with my homework and we baked cookies together, and sometimes I stayed for dinner. And Dr. Faraj? What is wrong with this woman? It was a long time ago. Before they all died in the fire. Aya didn't die. Ooh. I saw her. The girl has tears in her eyes as she protests her mother's dismissal of her memories. I was watching through the window and they took her in an ambulance, but she might have been alive when you saw her, but she died later in the hospital, honey. They all died. You're her cousin? The girl turns her pleading eyes to me and I wish there was something I could say to comfort her. So you knew her back then too? Did she ever... Madison. Homework. Oh, why is she so angry? Why is this woman so angry? I'm just asking her daughter. And the one person who might have had some answers for me, Madison, slinks back into the shadows. Sorry about her.
It's okay.
My heart breaks for that poor girl. It sounded like Aya was really important to her. I hope that her mother's just having a bad day and doesn't always snap at her like that when she's trying to talk. I wish I could have told her that Aya's still here. I wish she could have seen her. You should stop asking questions.
Sorry?
About the fire. Stop asking questions. See, there's more to this. They all died. That's all there is to it. Go home. Okay, a lot of them know something. She slams the door in my face and the baby's cries fade into the distance as I trudge back to the sidewalk. Aya lags a bit behind, floating backwards and still staring up at the house behind us.
I remember her.
The girl?
Madison. She's grown up so much. She used to come to my house after school because her dad worked late. Her mom wasn't around, I guess. That one must be her new stepmom. She was such a creative kid.
A stepmom, okay.
We used to decorate cookies with all kinds of ice cream and sprinkles and draw pictures. I wish I could.
Aya wipes a spectral tear away from her face. I reach out as if to put my arm around her and then stop when I remember that it's impossible.
Come on, Aya. Let's go home.
Oh no, we didn't really learn something.
Okay.
We move slowly on our way back toward the bus stop. My leg is getting a little bit sore, so I'm taking my time to put as much weight as possible in the cane to help with every other step. Aya doesn't seem to mind. She drifts along behind me, her gaze fixed on the rundown homes of her old neighborhood. I wonder if the view is sparkling any new memories or if she's just thinking about the happier time she spent with Madison.
Hey! Hey, you.
Oh no. Suddenly, a tall man in a suit steps out between the two houses. I tense up my knuckles, turning white, with my tight grip on the handle of my cane.
You were asking about Aya Faraj, right?
What?
What are you talking about?
I heard you talking to that old lady down the street. You're Aya's cousin?
Yeah?
I'm still wary of these strangers blocking my path, but if you know something about Aya, I want to hear it.
Yeah, I remember her. She was a pretty smart girl. Wasn't she, Mr. Wint?
Wint? What?
She certainly was, Mr. Kid.
Oh my god, what is this? What is happening here? Why these creepy people suddenly show up? I jump at the sound of a new voice and twist around to see that another similarly dressed man is standing behind me. I didn't even hear him approach.
My apologies if I startled you.
That's okay.
It's simply that my associates and I are sympathetic to your problem.
My problem?
The more these guys loom over me, the more I'm losing track of what in the world I was trying to accomplish before they showed up.
Your missing cousin, Aya.
Right, Aya.
They're still standing on either side of me, making me whip my head around to look at whichever one is talking. Meanwhile, my alleged cousin herself is hovering next to me with an expression of extreme unease.
Zach, is it just me or are these guys total weirdos?
I try to give a subtle nod and eyebrow raise in her direction to show her that I agree. But weirdos or not, they're the first people who have offered to help me since I got to this sad old neighborhood.
We were, shall we say, acquainted with her. Isn't that so, Mr. Kid?
That's right, Mr. Wint. We were neighbors.
I feel like I'd remember if I'd ever met these guys before.
I give Aya a slight shrug. There are a lot of things she doesn't remember.
Neighbors?
Dude, you don't believe this. What the hell is this?
Exactly, Mr. Kid.
Neighbors.
I feel like a ping pong ball with the way I keep looking back and forth throughout this bizarre exchange.
Perhaps, if you'd like to accompany us, we could provide you with some details.
What kind of details? Why can't you just tell me now?
You see, at the moment, we don't have...
He pauses and a moment later the other man picks up the end of the sentence for
The
him.
photo albums, Mr. Wint?
The photo albums! Exactly what I was thinking, Mr. Kid.
You have pictures? Of Aya?
From neighborhood events and whatnot.
We'd be happy to show them to you, if you'd come with us.
I can't say this strikes me as the kind of neighborhood where people get together for block parties. And it goes against all the common sense I've ever been taught to follow. Strange men to a secondary location? But I still feel like it might be worth it if they can really tell me anything that might help Aya.
Okay. Well, if you guys really knew Aya,
Maybe this little test will help confirm that they aren't just a random eavesdropping opportunist trying to rob me or something.
what's her middle name?
The men seem to think for a moment. I almost expect their next words to be a frantic justification about how not everyone knows their acquaintances' middle names anyway. But then the tall one lips curl into a smile.
It's Elizabeth, isn't it? Aya Elizabeth Farage.
I do believe you're right, Mr. Kid.
He is. Aya gasps in response, and the two men look at me expectantly. Let's follow them. I want to know.
Okay.
Even though it's super obvious that these people are bad, follow them. Okay. I give them a nod, sealing myself for whatever strangest might come next.
Okay, let's go see those photo albums.
Dude, I should have saved. What if something happens? Let's see what happens then. Mr. Wint. The strange men lead me into a nearby apartment building and I struggle to keep up with them as they stride up the stairs. Floating next to me, Aya remains quiet. I wish I could ask her how she feels about following these guys. Is she tempted by the information they might have to? Or is she just scared? Then again, it's not like they can do anything to her, I guess. I might be walking to a trap, but she'll be fine no matter what happens. I notice a couple eye-catching eviction notices on the doors of the units we pass before the tall man unlocks one at the end of the hall.
After you, Mr. Wint.
No, after you, Mr. Kid.
They each gesture elegantly towards the door frame, and I wait to see how their bizarre pantomime of politeness will end.
After our guest.
They both look satisfied with the alternative suggestion, so I sigh and hobble through the door ahead of them. Aya drifts past me and investigates the layout of the apartment. I make a slower and more casual attempt to do the same. The place doesn't look very lived in. There's dust all over what little furniture decorates the bare gray floors. Outside one cloudy window, I catch a glimpse of the ruins of Aya's old home. What a dismal view to have from your living room.
Why don't you take a seat, Mr. What did you say your name was?
John Smith.
John Smith.
Mr. Smith. Please make yourself at home.
Getting up all those stairs was pretty hard on my bad leg, so I'm glad he offered. Carefully, I perch on the edge of the kind, worn-out couch you might expect to see sitting on the side of the road on a garbage day.
I'm sure those photo albums are around here somewhere.
The tall man rummages through the contents of a bookshelf, sending puffs of dust into the already musty air.
Perhaps our guest would like a drink, Mr. Wayne.
Excellent suggestion, Mr. Kid. May I offer you a cup of tea, Mr. Smith?
All I want to do is see whatever pictures they have of Aya and get out of here. But if it's going to take a minute anyway, I guess I might as well accept their hospitality.
Sure. Thanks.
One moment then.
Oh, sorry. He disappears into the kitchen, leaving me alone with his compatriot.
How long has it been anyway? Since you last saw your cousin.
Yeah, his voice kind of sounded different now. He speaks without looking at me, still flipping through the pages of albums on the shelf.
About 6 years. Then my mom had a bit of a falling out with my aunt, and we lost touch with that side of the family.
I think that's a pretty decent cover story. The man shakes his head sadly.
Ugh, so tragic. The anger of adults gets in the way of their children's happiness.
Yeah.
I wonder if I would have ever seen you around back in the day. I was friends with Aya's father.
You were friends with with Uncle Yusuf?
Well, more like colleagues. We knew each other, but we weren't close.
Does colleagues mean they work together? I wonder if I should ask him where they work, or if that would be a dead giveaway that I don't really know much about Aya's family after all. Then again, would you expect a kid to have remembered what his uncle did for a living? Especially if they hadn't seen each other in years. Maybe I should give it a shot after all. But before I can open my mouth to ask, Aya rolls out through the wall with a frantic expression on her face.
Zach, listen to me, but try not to react.
I glance at my host, who still has his back to me, and nod my head a tiny bit to show her that I'm paying attention.
You have to get out of here. These guys are murderers or something. I saw the one in the kitchen put something suspicious looking in the tea.
Oh my god. I can't stop my eyes from going wide with shock.
But they don't know you know, so maybe you can get out of here before they figure out you're onto them? I've got a plan, so stay calm. Ask where the bathroom is.
Can I use your bathroom?
Why is his voice like that now? My heart is pounding, and I'm certain that Mr. Kid will hear the high pitch of fear in my voice through. But thankfully his attention remains on the photo albums in front of him.
Oh, it's just down the hall.
Thanks.
I stand up, gripping my cane tightly in one cold, sweaty hand.
Don't run. Just walk down the hall like it's no big deal.
It's a good thing I don't even have the physical ability to run. If I did, I don't think I'd be able to stop myself. I hear the other man's heavy footsteps returning to the living room and pray that he doesn't try to stop me. It takes me what feels like an eternity to get a few steps away, around the corner into the relative safety of a hallway where they can see me.
Go past the bathroom. At the end of the hall is a doorway to the balcony. You can get out down the fire escape from there.
Fire escape, huh? Even as my mind races through my potential ways I might get murdered, the irony almost makes me laugh. I could have used a fire escape, but when I had to escape from an actual fire, at least there's one here now, even if it's a little late. I pulled the balcony door open, slowly hoping that it won't sound noticeably different from the bathroom door to the sketchy guys back in the living room. I let out a breath that I didn't realize I was holding once I closed the door. Behind me, feeling a light breeze on my face. But this isn't over yet. My chest tightens again as I approach the railing of the balcony and look down at the distance to the street below. Why couldn't these creeps live on the main floor?
See the fire escape on your left? You can climb over there, right?
Feeling a bit shaky, I turn my head to look at what she's talking about. Sure enough, there's a rusted metal stairway that goes down the side of the building, and one of its landing is right next to the balcony. Swallowing my fear, I stretch toward it to place my cane down on the other side as quiet as possible and then hoist myself into a sitting position on the side of the balcony railing. The muscles in my arms strain at the effort and my head swims at the thought of how easy it would be for me to fall.
Don't look down!
Too late. My heart pounds and I suddenly find myself gasping for air as my vision goes blurry.
You can do it, Zach! Just stretch out your good leg until you can feel the metal of the fire escape. Then you can slide over there easily.
I'm barely aware of my surroundings as I summon all my energy to focus on Aya's voice and listen to her instructions. Then the shock of an impact against metal shoots through my good leg and I realize I've made it. I'm standing on one foot on the landing of the fire escape. Somehow, even in the middle of an absolute panic, I had the instinct to keep my bad leg off the ground.
Woohoo! You did it!
Shut up. He's gonna hear you, Aya.
You're amazing, Zach!
Aya cheers loudly, and for a moment I worry that those men will hear her. Why do I say shut up? She's a ghost, what the hell? Then I remember that I'm the only one who can. Still, the sound of my landing on the fire escape was a little loud, and who knows how well insulated this rundown building is. Not to mention how long I've been out here when I claimed I was just going to the bathroom. They could start looking for me any minute. I grab my cane and shuffle down a couple flights of metal stairs as quickly as I can, then crouch down and slide out a ladder that completes the distance to the ground. With no more time to worry about how much noise I'm making, I chuck my cane to the ground before scrambling down to follow it. It's a relief to finally be standing in solid ground, but I still don't have time to celebrate.
What do we do now?
I speak aloud to Aya for the first time since this daring escape began and find that my voice is hoarse and shaky. Floating down to the ladder behind me, Aya points to the dirt backyard of the next building.
Let's head that way. I know exactly where to hide.
Okay. Are we good now? Honestly, I was hoping for information. But yeah, we needed to escape. It doesn't take me long to realize where Aya is leading me. After hobbling through a few backyards and stumbling clumsily over a fence, I see the remains of my friend's old home looming ahead. She glides directly toward it with more purpose than I'm used to seeing from her chaotic floating movements.
The basement stairwell should be here.
Cautiously, I step up onto what's left of the foundation and duck under a singed rafter beam to reach her side. Concrete steps stretch out into a dark abyss below.
No one's going to look for us down there.
Tell me about it. I wouldn't want to go down there either if I didn't have to.
Despite feeling like I've stumbled onto the set of a horror movie, I take a few steps down the stairs and sit down in the gloom where my head won't be visible from above. Aya curls up next to me, the soft glow of her ghostly form making it a bit easier to see the contours of the unfinished basement room below.
We can hide out for a while and then...
She pauses.
Then what?
I don't know, actually. That's as far as my plan went.
She gives a sheepish giggle, and I can't help but chuckle along with her.
Well, it went as far as getting me out of that creepy apartment. You saved my life, Aya.
You really think so? I wonder what their plan was.
I shrug.
Good question. I guess I don't really know what they would have done. Nothing good, though, that's for sure. Best case scenario, they might have just robbed me and dumped my unconscious body in the street, I guess. But if they wanted to steal my stuff, they could have just threatened me instead of luring me in there and trying to drug me or whatever. Man, it was stupid of me to go with them in the first place.
I sigh and bury my face in my hands.
I'm such an idiot.
No, you're not.
Without looking up, I feel a sudden cold breeze on my shoulder and understand that Aya has reached out to comfort me.
I wanted to go too. I didn't want to tell you to go because it was kind of a stupid risk to take, but they said they knew me. Even if they were lying, I wanted to know. I wanted to know who I am.
I wanted you to know too.
Aya chuckles bitterly.
It's funny. All the time I was in the hospital, it barely even bothered me that I didn't remember who I was before. I guess it was because the hospital felt like all I had ever known. I had some vague sense that things happened different once before, but it felt like memories from a totally different life, you know? Like it was so far in the past that it didn't matter, you know? There was nothing I could do about it. So I lived for every day as they came. And I was happy most of the time. But now that I'm starting to remember, now it's like something's missing. Like it always has been, but I just never realized it was gone before.
I want to help you.
I look up into the soft glow of Aya's kind eyes.
When my parents died, I felt like I had lost everything. I felt like I had died too. But spending time with you, hearing your stories, exploring the hospital, it was what I needed to make me feel like I was really still alive. You helped me so much. So if I can do anything at all for you...
Zach, you don't owe me anything.
But I want to. I want to do whatever I can to help you remember. To find what's missing and give you back your past.
She blushes a bit as she smiles.
Thanks, Zach. You know, going around town looking for answers and dealing with those shady guys, it was scary, but it was like a real adventure. Like the kind I always wanted to have.
Yeah, it kinda was, wasn't it?
I find myself laughing out of both amusement and relief.
It was really scary, though. I thought those guys were going to get me for sure.
But you made it. You escaped. Just like a cool action hero.
Me? An action hero? I don't think I've ever seen an action hero wearing one of these moon boot things.
I gesture toward my aching leg.
Well, they must sometimes, right? I mean, if you're fighting tons of evil henchmen all the time and running away from explosions, you're bound to have some injuries. They just don't show you that part in the movies.
I guess so.
Oh, and maybe you can turn your injuries into an advantage somehow. Like using your cane as a special weapon. If we see those guys again, you can whack them on the heads with it.
I like the sound of that.
I smile at the image my friend has conjured into my mind. Me fending off hordes of villainous martial artists as she shouts out advice and encouragement. But it only takes a moment for that fleeting happiness to fade.
Aya, those guys knew who you were. They knew your full name. Do you have any idea why that was?
She shakes her head.
I've been thinking about it, but I'm still not sure. I really don't remember them at all. But maybe they really did know me or my parents in the past. Or maybe they just coincidentally overheard a lost-looking kid asking questions about me. And thought it was a good opportunity to do whatever creepy stuff they were trying to do.
But what about that girl, Madison? She seemed to think you didn't die in the fire. And the way her stepmom told me to stop asking questions.
Yeah, I reflect on the urgency with which she turned me away from her door.
She sounded scared. Like she was worried something bad would happen if I didn't. Aya.
I search her eyes for any indication of how she feels about my developing theory.
What if you were murdered? What if those guys killed you and Madison saw something and so they threatened her family into silence?
Aya's spectral form gets a little bit hazy for a moment as she's shivering.
Hi, Zach?
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I could be wrong.
It must be a terrible feeling to consider the idea that you could have experienced something so traumatizing without remembering it.
No, it's okay.
My friend regains a bit of her composure.
You could be right too. And even if it's hard, I still want to find out the truth.
Do you think we should talk to the cops or something? Maybe even that detective. I mean, those guys were clearly criminals. And if there might be something even bigger going on.
Aya gives a forceful shake of her head.
What would you say to them? We don't have any evidence of what happened. Just a story they may not believe about how some strangers creeped you out. And how would you explain anything about me?
I sigh.
Yeah, I guess you're right. No one would believe me. That detective seems suspicious of me already. Maybe she'd just think I was up to no good somehow. Even if the cops investigated, they probably wouldn't arrest those creeps. And then, if they knew we said something, they might come after us.
I say us, but I guess I really mean me. There's not much those guys could do to Aya.
Yeah, who knows what other criminals they might be in touch with. Maybe they'd be able to find out where we live.
Plus, then my Aunt Claire would know I was lying through my teeth about my best buddy Ivan.
Aya laughs.
I forgot all about Ivan. Poor guy must be wondering where you are.
I chuckle a bit too.
She'd probably never let me go out on my own again if she knew how narrowly I escaped getting murdered.
How are we gonna even leave this place, honestly?
And then you and I wouldn't be able to keep looking for answers.
You really want to keep trying? Even after what happened?
Of course! I'm not sure what we should do next, but I'll figure it out. Like I said, I want to help you. We're going to figure out what happened to you, no matter what.
Aya grins.
Yeah, and solve the mystery.
Detective Zach, back on the case.
With Assistant Aya for backup.
I wish I could conclude that little exchange with a high five, but I don't know if pretending to slap my hand against her incorporeal one would be quite the same.
What do you think? Have we been hiding out for long enough for those guys to stop looking? Maybe we should head back to the bus stop. I can check my phone and find a different one a little farther away, just in case they're still in the area where we started.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Aya unfurls her ghostly body and floats back up to the top of the concrete stairwell, a smile on her face. She reaches out as if to help me back up. And as impossible as that would really be, I appreciate the gesture.
Let's go home.
Are we gonna be actually at home now? But yeah, that was very creepy, guys. Okay. Stepping over the threshold to Aunt Claire's house after a long and silent bus ride feels like entering another world. Okay. Okay, so we'll end our episode there. A pretty long episode for today. The longest in this game, I mean. So yeah, we like, I was expecting answers. We got more questions, honestly. But yeah, it's actually nice to see that we are getting some information now. That like the people around Aya's old house are pretty scared. Yes, and then we see these two gentlemen. Very creepy gentlemen with those voices and all. And they were trying to drug me. So I wonder what happens if we chose a different answer, right? Like if we didn't go to them, is the game still just gonna try to force us to go with them? Or is it gonna be a different path? Honestly, I'd like to check. I'll probably check it after I finish the game. Yeah, if there's like a different path that we could take, right? Like what happens? Oh, for example, right? They ask if we to come with them. If I said no, would I just be here at home or whatever happens, right? Who knows? So yeah, anyways, we'll continue this in the next episode. We're back at home. And I don't know what's gonna happen next. So I'll just see you in the next episode, guys. Bye-bye.